You sit down for dinner. The plates are out, the food is in front of you, and your dog doesn't jump, doesn't beg, doesn't bark. It just stands there very still and begins to whine, softly, steadily. A sound you cannot quite ignore no matter how many times you've heard it. Most people's first instinct is simple. It wants your food. That seems obvious, logical. And for most of human history, that's where the explanation ended. But that reading may be completely wrong. And the actual answer is a great deal more interesting. Because when researchers began measuring what happens in a dog's brain during your meal times, they found something unexpected. This isn't simply hunger. It's not even primarily about the food. What you're witnessing is one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom, built over 15,000 years, and it's directed entirely at you. Here's the first thing that changes how you hear that sound. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary spent years recording and analyzing dog vocalizations across dozens of contexts. What Pongratch and his team found in 2005 was striking. Dogs have evolved an entirely separate set of vocalizations, used only when communicating with humans. These sounds don't appear in dog-to-dog interactions. They appear only in the presence of people. The whine your dog makes at dinner isn't the sound it makes to other dogs. It is a sound built specifically to reach you. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Gregory Burns at Emory University did something that had never been done before. He trained dogs to lie still inside an fMRI scanner while fully conscious. No sedation, no restraints. Just a dog, voluntarily, in a brain scanner. And what he recorded in 2012 changed how neuroscientists think about dogs. When a dog saw its owner holding food, the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, lit up immediately, before the dog could even smell the food. The anticipation itself was already triggering the dopamine system. And here's the mechanism that matters. Dopamine doesn't fire when the dog gets the food. It fires when the dog sees the possibility of getting the food. That's the key distinction. The brain is already running the reward sequence. The internal signal is building, and the body needs somewhere to put all of that energy. The whine is that discharge. It's not a request. It's a symptom. Your dog's brain is lit up with anticipation, and sound is how that feeling escapes. But that's not the whole picture. Because the whine isn't random noise, it's calibrated. Research from the Family Dog Project in Budapest, Fargo and colleagues 2010, showed that dogs consciously adjust the pitch, frequency, and intensity of their vocalizations depending on who they're communicating with and what they need. The sound they make to their owner is different from the sound they make to a stranger. The sound they make when hungry is measurably different from the sound they make when stressed. Your dog is not just whining. It is choosing how to whine. And it is choosing a version of that sound designed specifically for you. And here's where the story goes deeper than hunger. Dogs don't eat alone. In every natural context, feral dogs, free-ranging dogs, pack observations, feeding is a group event. It is social. John Bradshaw at the University of Bristol documented in 2012 that communal feeding in dogs carries strong social bonding functions. When dogs were domesticated, they transferred that social feeding behavior onto humans. Eating together became sharing with humans. So when your dog whines during your meal, it may not be demanding food. It may be extending an invitation. The behavioral equivalent of asking, "Can I be part of this too?" And then there's this. In a follow-up study at Emory University, Burns and his team presented dogs with a choice, food on one side, their owner's praise on the other. In certain experimental conditions, approximately 20% of dogs consistently chose their owner's approval over the food itself. 20%. That's not a small number. It suggests something important. For a meaningful portion of dogs, the whine during your dinner may not even be about what's on your plate. It may be about the fact that you're not looking at them, not because they're needy, but because for them, your attention is genuinely more rewarding than food. But that's not even the most surprising part. In 2015, a study published in Science, Nagasawa and colleagues at Azabu University in Japan documented something that had never been measured before. Between dogs and humans, there exists what they called an oxytocin gaze loop. When you make eye contact with your dog, oxytocin, the bonding neurochemical, rises in both of you simultaneously. But the reverse is also true. When that eye contact is absent, when your dog watches you interact with others without being included, oxytocin drops. And cortisol, the stress hormone, rises slightly. The absence of your gaze is a mild stressor. For your dog, right now, during dinner. Consider how long this has been happening. For the entire history of dog domestication, somewhere between 15,000 and 30,000 years, dogs lived in their closest proximity to humans at precisely one moment, mealtime, at the fire, at the preparation area, at the table before there were tables. The dogs that whined effectively during those moments got fed. The ones that didn't. Brian Hare and Michael Tomasello argued in 2005 that dogs didn't just passively tolerate humans. They actively co-evolved the cognitive tools to read human behavior, specifically in the context of food. The whine wasn't just learned. It was selected for. Generation by generation, refined into the precise sound standing next to you right now. Which brings us to something worth sitting with for a moment. If you have ever, even once, given your dog food when it whined during dinner, you taught it something. McGowan and colleagues confirmed in 2014 that dogs learn behavioral sequences, leading to human rewards with extraordinary speed, and they repeat those sequences with precision. If whining has ever worked, whining became a strategy. You didn't spoil your dog. You accidentally completed its training. It is not manipulating you. It is doing exactly what its brain learned to do. Now, one thing worth paying close attention to: not all whines are the same. Moridi and colleagues in 2013 studied how well dog owners could identify their own dog's vocalizations, and the results were humbling. Most owners could not reliably distinguish a hunger whine from an anxiety whine. Here's the practical difference. High-pitched whining that comes in bursts, that stops and starts, that escalates. That is an anxiety signal. It has nothing to do with food. Rhythmic, low, steady whining that repeats at regular intervals. That is conditioned expectation. Your dog has learned that this sound, at this moment, has a history of producing results. Two different sounds. Two completely different needs. So what does this mean practically? If your dog whines even after eating a full meal, the food is not what it needs. That whine is an attachment signal, and the answer is not more food. Research on the oxytocin gaze loop suggests that a single moment of eye contact, a brief acknowledgement, even just looking at your dog and nodding, can be enough to lower cortisol and satisfy that signal. It doesn't need your dinner. It needs to know it hasn't been forgotten. And if the whining persists, if it comes alongside not eating its own food, trembling, pacing, or genuine inability to settle while you eat, those are signals worth taking seriously. They may point toward mild separation anxiety, or sometimes what behaviorists call reverse resource guarding, where the dog becomes distressed when excluded from valued resources, including you. These are not things you need to diagnose at home. They are simply the moment when a conversation with a veterinary behaviorist becomes the most useful next step. So, next time you sit down to dinner, next time the plates come out and that quiet, steady whine begins beside you, remember what you know now. It is not asking for your food. It never was, not entirely. It is asking whether it still belongs to this moment, whether the bond is still active, whether in the middle of your ordinary evening, it still matters to you. That small sound carries 15,000 years of coevolution, a dopamine system running at full capacity, a communication system built specifically across tens of thousands of generations to reach you and no one else. And somewhere underneath all of that science, the caudate nucleus, the oxytocin loop, the calibrated pitch of a vocalization designed for human ears, there is just the simplest question one living creature can ask another: are you still here with me?